If you're gonna, we want to do just a little bit of cutting. Most of it can just be kind of pulled apart. You can use we often use a single-sided razor blade, or you can use a scalpel. Probably even a good, a smaller pair of scissors might work as well. But what kind of works, what kind of group you're working with and how careful you have to be. So, just cut through the stem here. You can see on this one, the various unopened ones here. You can see this one's just about ready to open. Yeah, that one's just about ready to open. So these are the sepals. You can see they're still kind of green here. You can see them really clearly. These are the sepals that are the outer layer of the first whorl of the flower.
Protection then more?
Yeah, protection and guarding. And so now they'll actually, now in lilies, some plants, sepals always are green. But in lilies now, as this flower ages and matures, those will turn and look like petals as well. So technically they're still sepals because they're on the outside, but they're very similar to petals. And so this is just, I mean, to me, it's always one of the problems with flowers. They're just so variable that you just have to kind of, there's ones where there's separate male flowers and separate female flowers, different kinds of things. So you just have to kind of live with that variation and explain it. Yeah, different solutions. So as those open, we kind of cut one off here. Here's a really nice flower. And I don't know, you want to hold that, Steve? And so you can see, so as we said, these outer layers are probably a sepal, and then the colored petals that surround that.
A little more of a green tinge on the outside a little bit.
Yeah. So it's like I said, not a big distinction between petals and sepals in lilies. And that shouldn't bother students too much. It's still the colored nature of it that attracts the pollinator and brings that to that. What you can see real clearly on this lily flower is here are the stamens, and the stamens, most flowers have both male and female parts, and so you can see there's a series of these stamens. The whole thing is called a stamen, and the filament supports the anther, and so it's in this anther where the pollen grains are being produced. And so those are the male part of the plants. Pollen grains will then produce sperm, which will fertilize the egg, which is produced in the female part of the plant.
The kids can probably even take it, the students can probably tap that
out. Sometimes,
sometimes
there's pollen, depending on if they're mature or not, you'll see pollen come off of these. These are large anthers. Sometimes they're not that large, and they're colored, which is, again, different. But, and then these plants generally do not self-pollinate. They'll kind of either produce pollen and eggs at different times, or the animal going to carry it away, or they're incompatible. So they don't want to self-pollinate because the whole purpose of this is new genetic combinations. Anyway, I think we might. Should we go ahead and we could take the petals off if you want, and and I say what students can definitely do is, if they want to, is kind of make little separate groups of these.
Yeah, well, on the website we'll have a handout in which the kids can fill out and then attach the different pieces
the sepal petal. I say in this case, I don't think you'd want to try to distinguish between petals and sepals too much. So those, that series there, and then you can kind of take the anther or the stamens off with the anthers on, so they're really nice there. Yeah, and this shows really nicely. Okay, that's the female part of the flower that's left. Now that we've removed the stamens.
Give that to you there.
Yeah, and you can see, here the top is the stigma. So that's where the pollen grains will land, and then they'll grow down through this neck-like structure, which is the style, and at the base of this are the ovaries. And things which are part of this, are the carpels. And there's a little bit of distinction. People make their things. A lot of times this whole structure between my fingers here is called the pistil, P-I-S-T-I-L, and sometimes it's called a carpel. And the two, technically the pistil can have one or more carpels because the carpel contains the ovaries at the base. But again, you can get, and then there's all kinds of specific names for how many there are, but I think for the most part we think of it, this is the female structure. It has at the base the ovary, the style, or the base the carpel, probably more correctly, carpel, style, stigma. And again, students should understand that the pollen will land here, and then a pollen tube will grow down to where the eggs are located, or where the ovules are located inside of there.
at that point produce the seed, the
yeah,
fruit?
well, that's where then the fertilization will occur. So we'll take a closer look in here in a minute. So hopefully, and I say about the only cut you really have to do on these is usually to cut into this base, and then you can see the various carpels and ovules.
Just straight across cut?
Yeah, usually straight across. And you can see how small that is. And inside of there, and so this is where glads I think sometimes work a little bit better, but inside of there you can see the various little openings there, 6 of them in this case, and in those openings are where the ovules are contained.
So magnifying glass maybe, or maybe
magnifying glass kind of thing. The camera hopefully can take care of that. So inside those ovules, or inside the ovary then, is tissue surrounding that, the ovule, and the ovule then, when it becomes fertilized by the pollen, or the sperm from the pollen, then that will develop into the seed. So this plant then, seeds will develop inside of that, surrounded by ovary tissue, which in some cases becomes a fruit. So the different kinds of structures. So that's really, I mean, you see, it's kind of understanding how the process works really that's important.
Then in comparison, like I say, we mentioned that one before, the female part would not show up near as well.
It's much harder to see in this one. I mean, you can see we can kind of take it apart here. Here you can see the stamens again, but yeah, they're just way down there, right there at the tip where it has 3 openings. That's the pistil. That's the stigma, the beginning of the pistil. So that's a lot harder to see.
So compared to most diagrams the kids might have in the book, this would be a lot harder to see.
One advantage of gladiolus would be the larger ovaries and ovules, and I think we can probably get some pictures of that for our website too to look at that. So when you cut those open, it's a little easier to see the ovules and those kinds of structures.
We should mention here too, like a classic example right here would be a perfect example of the outer protective cover. That's not open yet.
Yeah, the sepals, and then to say the kings are, and then again, what's unusual in lilies is then they actually turn colors as well, which is not the case in all of the flowers.
Anything else to mention about these, or?
I don't think so. Again, it's we're used to flowers. We we think about them as beautiful and they smell good, but they are a remarkable reproductive adaptation. They are what have allowed these plants to live on land, to transfer their pollen, their genes from one plant to another, and they're so successful that they basically dominate the plant world.
Absolutely. And what we'll have on the website, we'll have a handout which they can then label all the different parts. We'll also have maybe 4 or 5 different examples of different flowers, those different parts for each one of those flowers too on there.
Yeah, so. And some suggestions as to which species that you might say you have to be a little prepared. You might want to order them ahead of time from your florist or whoever your provider is.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Dave.
Oh, no problem. Flowers are great structures.